I'm Rob from Salsify. I'm here today to talk about agile methodologies in manufacturing. If you go back to the 90s, the way that software was developed was by a process called waterfall. And waterfall starts with market requirements, and then you build product requirements, and then you do a product design, and then you code, and then you do QA at the end, and eventually you launch a product. And that's how Microsoft built Windows, for example. And from start to end, you might have 2 or 3 years from when you first get the idea to launch something to when it's finally out there in the market. And then you see how the market reacts. And it doesn't always work in your favor. So for example, IBM's OS/2, not really hugely successful, despite having put a lot of research into what the market might have needed right at the beginning. So in response to this, in response to some of these big failures of investment, the software community adopted a new process called Agile. And the way that Agile works is instead of having one big release every few years, you release a lot more often, a lot more frequently, smaller pieces of software, and that gives you more market feedback earlier, right? As Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. The market is what's punching you in the mouth. You actually don't know how good your product is until you get it out there and you start getting feedback. And it's not just about product development either. It's also about marketing experiences. You don't know how good your marketing campaign is going to be until you get out there and see what consumers actually respond with. So with Agile, release often. Now in software, that's actually come to a point where companies like Salsify, like Salesforce, we're releasing updates to our software multiple times per day. It's continuous releases. If you look at the way that small upstart manufacturers are operating, they're also doing that same kind of thing. Somebody's waking up every single morning looking at their product detail pages on Amazon, responding to questions in real time, thinking about how they can have a better image, updating it nearly constantly. That's the game these days. They understand that in an agile world, in e-commerce, it's ready, fire, aim. It's launch it, see what happens, and then fix it. They understand that improving it later is the job. Now, large companies can't operate like this. 3M, for example, a few years ago, they had a launch of the Scotch-Brite wand product, which is the stick with the soap in it, with the sponge on the end of it. That's really fantastic to use. And the original launch of it, they started getting 2-star reviews on Amazon because it didn't work great for lefties. It would leak a little bit. And they saw those reviews and they responded really quickly. They got the products back, they fixed the problem, they got a new product out there. Tons of great reviews after that fact. No amount of market research or product testing is going to catch everything that's wrong with your product or your messaging. What's the best product title? What's the best description? What are the best feature bullets? Get it out there, measure, improve. Move fast, iterate. That's how great companies are going to succeed. Now, what I've been seeing lately is large manufacturers are adopting Agile, which means that they're having Scrum teams and stand-ups and all those types of little things that are tactically what Agile means. And I think that's a little Agile washing of what their processes are. They actually need to dig deeper in order to really adopt the methodology. So if you look at the way that Microsoft and companies like Microsoft used to be set up, you'd have the product management organization, the engineering organization, the QA department over here. And each team had a responsibility largely for one piece of the waterfall process. And they would hand off in big chunks between the pieces. You contrast that with Agile, and in Agile, you'll have a QA to developers, product designers, a product manager, all embedded on the same team, all communicating every single day so that they're constantly iterating on the development of the product. And then after it's launched, they're still iterating on the development of the product as they get feedback from the market. Launch quickly, launch often, pay attention to what the market feedback is. That's how companies are going to succeed going forward. And the real work for large companies in particular is to think about how do you actually restructure? What are the people, processes, and technology that you've got to have in place in order to support this level of iteration, this level of speed in the market?